Are you ready to DIY your next favorite pop-up card? Look at this. This is such an easy card. I am super excited to teach you how to create this. You're gonna love the ease of this card. Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I'm so glad you guys are joining me today for another Tuesday tip video. I'm very excited to teach you this fabulous DIY fun fold, so let's get started. I love how these cards, they just kind of automatically pop up. They are so fun. And as I said at the beginning, super, super easy. I've got lots of tips and tricks to share with you. How about we create this birthday card? And this one, I'm going to feature the Planted Paradise stamp set. Let me go over the supplies that you need, but I do want you to know there is a free download that goes along with today's video. So you'll have all the measurements, photos, the complete supply list. In fact, if you need to come back and watch the video, you can scan or click the QR code. And if you're in the United States, oh friends, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You can order from me by clicking right here. I would love to take care of you and all your stamping needs, but with that, you don't need to write down these measurements, but before we start, I do want you to know. All right, so we're going to start with some Parakeet Party. I've got a card base that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I also have a square 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Next, let's move on to some garden green. I've got a 5 by 5. That's going to be for our pop-up on the inside. And then I have 3 squares. These are 2.5 by 2.5. That's going to be for the front of our card. And last, we have some basic white. I have a 5 by 6. I have a 4 by 5. I have a 2.5 by 2.5 and a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. As I said, we're going to use the Planted Paradise stamp set. And I've got 3 ink pad colors we're going to work with today. Garden Green, Parakeet Party, and Copper Clay. Now, we're going to start with that 5 by 6 piece of basic white. And guys, we are going to randomly stamp all over this. Let's go ahead and start with Garden Green. And I'm going to take this leafy image. Guys, there are so many in this stamp set. So please feel free to get creative. Use whichever one you want. And look, I just made a big smudge, but you know how we love to cover that kind of stuff up, right? It happens. So let's go ahead and get, maybe about 8 or 9 of these. I want to kind of make sure everything's getting filled in. Now we're going to come in with some Parakeet Party, and I'm going to use another image. I'm going to just use this kind of long, narrow, leafy image. I'm going to fill in between. Do you notice how I rotate my cardstock? That kind of ensures that I make sure I'm getting that random look that I'm going for. And then that Copper Clay, we're going to do something really fun. I'm going to take this little image and we're going to do some more filling in. So just kind of in between. And don't you love that big burst of that Copper Clay that shows up in there? All right, we're going to go ahead and stamp on our 2 squares. Remember, this was a 2 1/4 square. This was a 2 1/2 square. I'm going to set the 2 1/2 square off for just a second because I'm going to work on the 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Now, I'm going to be using the Something Fancy stamp set for my sentiment. And the reason why is because Planted Paradise doesn't have any sentiments in it. So you are going to want to bring in whichever sentiment you prefer, but I loved this. I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. Now, when we stamp this, it is very important we have it in a diamond shape and not a square. So make sure you've got that in that diamond pattern. I'm going to take Garden Green, and right here in the center, I will stamp my sentiment. All right, now we're going to take that 2.5 by 2.5, again, keeping it in that diamond pattern. I'm going to come back in with Copper Clay right down here at the bottom. I'm going to stamp the pot. In Garden Green, I'll come back in with that leafy image. This would be the one that we used here, same color. And now in the Parakeet Party, I'm just going to add some images right in between. just like so. All right, stamping is done. Let's do a little cutting. So this was my 5x6 piece of stamped cardstock. I'm going to put the 6 inches up at the top. I'm going to cut that down to 3 3/4. So the final measurement will be 3 3/4 by 5. That's going to be for the inside of my card. So let me set that off to the side. And what's remaining, I need to cut this down into 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So there's 1 and 2. So you will have a little bit left over. All right, I've got that done. Now we're going to go ahead. Let's bring in that 5 by 5. This is our pop-up for the inside. We're going to do a little scoring. Now, the good news is it's 5 by 5, so we don't have to worry about what side's up and what side's not. We are going to do our first score here at 3/4 of an inch, then 1 1/2 inches, and then 2 5/8. That is in between 2 1/2 and 2 3/4. So just find the spot in between that. That is what we need for scoring. Now, we need to create our diamond shape. So here are my score lines. Let me rotate it. This would be the largest area. We want to put it up at the top at 2 1/2 inches. Now, we're going to be putting this on the back, so you're not going to see it, but I'm just going to give myself just a little tick mark there. That's going to help me. All right, so now I need to cut from here to here. And I'm going to give that a little bend. I want you to be able to see that first score line there. So tick mark, score line, here in the track of my trimmer. And we'll cut off 1. Go ahead and save that. We're going to use it. Now, this one I'm not too worried about the tick mark because obviously I can see my point right there. Let's go ahead and get the opposite side and save that as well. That's going to give us our pop-up, all right? All right, let's go ahead and take those 2 triangles. We are going to adhere these right here inside our card. Now, they could be scrap, but I thought, no way, we're going to find a way to use those. That'll give us just a little extra something on our card. We can now take our stamped cardstock. This would be the one that we cut down 3 3/4 by 5. We'll add that right there. Again, it kind of decorates the inside of the card a little bit. Now it's time to work with our pop-up. Now let's make sure we give all of our score lines a really good crease. There's 3 of them. All right, we're going to put adhesive on this 3/4 inch section. All right, that's the only place we need adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and run it all the way through, all the way across there. I'm going to fold that. And when you adhere this inside the card, I don't want you to touch the score line. I want you to be just below it because I want to make sure my card's going to close. So make sure you're not getting too close. When you're happy with it, we'll give that a press. And you can see it just sort of automatically gives you that nice pop, right? I'm going to adhere my plant that I stamped there on my square of Parakeet Party. And I'm ready to add this here, but before we do, we want to make sure we're not going to hit the top of our card. Now that means we only want adhesive down here at the bottom area, but I'm just going to lightly lay it down, and that gives me that ability to kind of move it. But like I said, I just don't want to hit the top of my card. All right, let's go ahead and finish the inside of the card because I do have the piece. This was the 4 by 5. This is where we're going to write our message. When you adhere that down, you can see it's going to cover up that strip that we laid down. Now, I am going to do a little happy birthday on this, and I kind of like to go ahead and adhere it down first because I want to make sure I can kind of center it up. So I'm going to take my little happy birthday. This is also from Something Fancy. And in Garden Green, I'm going to stamp my happy birthday right there. Now it's time for the front of our card. So let's go ahead and adhere our remaining 3 pieces to the matching Garden Green squares. We're now ready to add these to the front of our card. Now you're going to want the point of your diamond to be touching the edge of the card.
We'll do that with our other one right here. So we'll just center those up. Now for my sentiment, that is going to go right in the middle. I've got some of the garden green ribbon. This is from the Real Red and Garden Green combo. I'm going to make myself just a nice little knot. And to add that, we're going to bring in our mini glue dots. Just press the center of your knot onto a mini glue dot. Add that at the bottom and check it out. Isn't that just a fun card? It's so different, right? Very, very fun with that automatic pop-up. Now, I did share with you another card.
I've got a free download that goes along with today's video. So if you'd like to recreate the card, no need to write down all those measurements and scoring lines. I've got them all here for you in your free download. Guys, you'll find that at simplysimplestamping.com, or just look down in the YouTube description for a direct link. I'd love for you to have that.
Yep, I shared this one at the beginning of the video, and I'm just going to kind of give you a quick rundown on this one. I chose the Playing in the Rain stamp set. This has always been one of my favorites. And just used my markers. You can use your Stampin' Blends or your markers. And look at that sweet little turtle. Just added some of the daisies there. You notice not stamped cardstock. Nope, I decided to use designer series paper on this one. I loved the Melon Mambo, the Daffodil Delight. And of course, that Granny Apple Green, that's from the Brights collection. Very, very fun. This one, I decided to add a bow, the black and white gingham. Just turned out absolutely perfect. And that's all there is to creating a very simple DIY diamond pop-out. I hope that you guys enjoyed that one. These are so much fun to make. I do hope that you're going to give these a try.
Thanks so much for watching. Hey, would you drop me a thumbs up there on YouTube if you enjoyed the video? And if you haven't subscribed, why not click that subscribe button and join me? I share twice a week on my channel. I'd love to have you join in. Thanks again, everybody. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.